Without the evidence, anything I say exists in a parallel universe to the representation that exists concerning the conviction of Mackenzie Shirilla. The truth is that there were 3 victims of that car bomb. When a person makes an egological commitment to a belief, it is almost impossible to add to their understanding because of what denial mechanisms exist. There's hope that the families of the victims might have an inner voice telling them something different. Once they've seen the evidence. It's unfair to any of them to withhold the evidence. There's a certain kind of cartoon character to the idea of mind control that makes it a joke to most people. But the evidence shows me that Mackenzie Shirilla was not in control of the car that day. Others were. The description she gives, which includes her self-description, concerning prior exposure to uncanny substances. Now, I'm willing to cross the red line here. So far, all I've done is said things that we could all agree with, I think, in our best natures. Is that if Mackenzie Shirilla is indeed innocent because of a neurohypnotic poison crime done with cold blood in pre-deliberation, I think we could all agree that the nature of the tragedy has been understudied, misunderstood, and overlooked. But what we can't all agree with is a red line. So I'm crossing a red line here now. It doesn't seem to me that Honorable Judge Russo, who endured my fury based on prior experience and understanding of other related pieces of evidence, was fair concerning complicity in the crash. I find it nearly impossible to believe that both of those boys did not know that an underage girl had been using sinister narcotics when they got in the car with her. Nor was it discounted to my satisfaction that they didn't know that the psilocybin was present in the car. But when I say complicity about that, it's based on the trial itself and what was known at the trial. I'll back off from this red line of complicity and say that I doubt any of them knew the nature of the poison that she had been targeted with. What I believe from the evidence is that she was targeted with poison. You would have to be patient enough to understand how hybrid crime works and what a profiler does. Because once you see that my experience was sandwiched on what was done to Mackenzie Shirilla, you realize that the emblems of the poison criminals are all over both cases as a hybrid crime. For example, I've always wondered why a heavyweight trooper from Ohio, Bowling Green, was brought in by Wesley Posvar to Pitt when I exposed what Wattenmaker had done as the engineer of a poison crime intending to cause the victim, who was a child, and the child's mind replicates in Mackenzie Shirilla's self-representation. You can see it in my handwritten scrawl. A poison crime meant to take control away. It was even index bursting for the name of the exorcist, the enemy within. They call it neurohypnosis, using mind-changing, personality-changing chemicals. And the names are Mackenzie, Child, and Wattenmaker. Why was Wattenmaker's role in this allowed to be overlooked when he was in prison authority for Attica, Pennsylvania, and Ohio? I believe that Mackenzie Shirilla was poisoned and detonated by the same forces that came in and detonated this thing when I didn't even know it was in there, causing me convulsive arrests. Responsibly, I was in so much suffering. I got on a bus from Pittsburgh and went to the Des Moines River and screamed and screamed and screamed as this thing banged its way out. And I pressed my face to cement for comfort. What I believe about Mackenzie Shirilla is that she's completely innocent of the crime that took place, that she demonstrated escape behaviors from, at worst, escape behaviors from an induced extreme situation. And you have to understand what that means. These people were Holocaust survivors. Extreme situations in their book were the sort of terror trauma that takes place in the German concentration camps. These synthetics were LSD created in, I believe, Switzerland to induce and shake up alexithymia. Alexithymia means you can see something, but your tongue can't express it because of the horror. This was introduced to me by John Schulman, who was arrested on a $6 million museum heist, a confirmed felon still in the bosom of Pennsylvania government because he served them so well when it came to lying about me. Shaviti is about LSD treatment of Holocaust survivors, but the paranormal intelligence and the study of neuropsychiatry came next in that cauldron of people who are named. And Child came from Ohio and Bowling Green, and Mackenzie was working with Wattenmaker through a brain research team at the University of Pittsburgh. I repeat that I'm not crossing a red line. I'm not saying that the other two victims were not victims or that they were complicit in such an act. I believe that all three of them were victims and that Mackenzie Shirilla needs to be treated with kindness from the horror of what she was subjected to. That is my personal opinion as a member of Phi Beta, based on the evidence that I believe is pertinent that I have surrendered to the court along with this document.